Now let's talk about masking and hiding areas of our mesh. So there may be some cases where our models are too big to kind of work with at once. And so what we can do is hide part of our mesh as we're working with it. So if we hit H on our keyboard, and I'm just going to drag across here. Let me get to the side. And again, hit H. I'll give you the kind of the crosshair. I drag across, and I can get rid of visually the back end. And now I can sculpt on this and be able to see it. But hit H again and come across this way, I can hide even more of it until I'm left with just the face that I can again go in and sculpt on if I want to. Okay, if I want to unhide, I can hit Alt H and that'll bring everything back. Now what if I want to mask off areas on the mesh, not hide them, but mask them so that they aren't affected by any sculpting that I'm going to do? We can come in here and use mask. Okay, and then if I draw on this, you can see it creates a mask signified by this dark color. So I'm going to get kind of a larger size and kind of come around these brow ridges here. And you can see there is a gradation there with it. And so you do have sort of a soft edge. If I hit Shift and smooth it out, I can smooth out that masking. Okay, I can also hit Control to unmask areas, so I can come in and now kind of sharpen up that area if I want to. And then any sculpting that I do on this, so let's say that I'll get the inflate and get kind of a bigger brush, kind of a lower intensity. But so my brush size, or my brush, is overlapping with this area. But if I come in and sculpt on this, it's a little bit hard to see. Let me increase this a bit. There we go. So if I come in and sculpt on this ridge here, you can see that that sculpting fades out along the gradient, and then it's not affected at all, or the mesh isn't affected at all where it's masked at 100%. So I can come in and kind of smooth this out if I wanted to, but this can be useful for really defining kind of hard edges or patterns that you want to create. Things like that. Okay, you can always go back to your masking. You can sort of get rid of the masking that you have there. We also have subtract on the side, but you can see how this made a very sharp kind of edge. And so you could do the same thing here with the masking. Come in and draw out. You know, if you had like a certain kind of pattern that you wanted to create, think of it as the negative space. So you wanted to kind of raise this area up a little bit and then come in with any of your brushes here. And let's get kind of a lower strength. And it just lets you kind of define the shape that you're getting beforehand. So you can mask it, modify the mask until you're happy with it, and then do your sculpting rather than trying to sculpt it all and get it right the first time. So you can see where that mask was, and then you get that detail on top of it. So make sure to take advantage of masking as well as hiding your meshes, especially if you're working with something that's large that you're having trouble working with overall. You can hide part of it and only work with a certain section at a time. Now, the next thing that we're going to take a look at is another section of our tools here, the texture. So we can actually use a different texture, either an outside image, or we can use a procedural texture that's created here in Blender to drive the look of our sculpt. So we'll take a look at using that in the next lesson.